So today I'm going to guide you through how to change your identity so that you can more easily accomplish your goal. And today, in this training that I have prepared for you guys, we'll cover the 4 following points. It is what an identity is, how this identity is formed, why it's hard to change your identity, and how to actually change your identity based off of the 3 points we discussed in the first 3 pillars. Cool. And so what is an identity? Let's answer that question first and foremost. An identity, it's the way you define yourself based off of your values, your decisions, your beliefs, and your habits. The creation of our identity starts with the values we have, which dictate the decisions we make under a certain circumstance. That decision we made under that specific circumstance shapes our beliefs in relation to it. Those beliefs shape the next decisions we make, which create a specific experience in our lives. That experience is then burned into our memory. The repeated actions done over a long period of time turns it into a habit, and those habits then shape our identity. And why is your identity important? Because our identity, how we see ourselves and how we identify ourselves as individuals, either get us closer to achieving our goal or further away from it. So in context, what would this look like? So I see myself as a man who can build a business on the side while working a full-time job. And so here, my values are influencing the decisions I'm going to make. But if I get home from work tired and I end up lying on the couch and watch Netflix the entire evening, when instead I wanted to start building up a business on the side, here I make a decision under a specific circumstance. So the decision is that I watch Netflix after work under the circumstance that I'm tired after work. And so I will adopt the belief that my job is draining and that I need to rest after working my 8-hour shift. Thus, I'll have the belief that I can't build a business because of my full-time job, which is the circumstance that I'm in. So now a belief is shaped because of the decisions that has been made under the specific circumstance that I'm in. And so the following day, I'll experience the same situation, and because I watched Netflix the day before, I'll be more inclined to repeat the same activity again. And so I am tired because of my job, so I need to rest. That's what I believe in my mind. And so if I keep repeating the same behavior for the span of 3 months, it will turn into a habit. The habit that is shaped is because of the belief in relation to the decision I made in that specific circumstance. And so at this point, the experience and the memory I have of the decisions I made in that same circumstance will then lead up to building my identity. So I will have now formed the identity of being a man who cannot achieve this goal of building a business on the side while also working a full-time job because of the specific circumstance, which is the full-time job that I'm working. So if I would try again, it will be hard because I won't have the confidence to do it. And so now my values are affected by the identity that is shaped. And so once the identity is shaped, which is here at the end, we will go back to the values that we have. And once our values change, that will then affect the next decisions we make, that will further impact our beliefs and will further impact our habits if we keep the same beliefs, making the same decisions based off the same distorted values that we have in that moment. And after a couple of months, I end up wondering why I am not getting closer to achieving my goal. And that is because the identity I have is affecting the decision I should make in order to achieve my goal. And so simplified, it's my values dictate the decision that I make because I see myself in that kind of way and I identify myself with my values. And so if I contradict the decision based off of my values, and it will bring a change of beliefs as a result. And now a new decision will be made. And when that is done repetitively, it will form a habit, and that habit will then affect my identity, the way that I see myself, the way that how I identify myself, and it will either change or confirm the values that I have or create a new value in my mind that I stand behind. And those will either get me to win or fail based off if it's a change in values that will get me to most likely fail or win, depends on the situation. Or if it confirms a value, it will either make me win or fail. Really depends on the value as well. If we need to change something about ourselves, that means that we have to bring a change in our values, which will then affect our decisions, which will then affect our beliefs, which will affect our habits if we make the same decisions over a long period of time, which will then create a new identity, a better identity that we want to have to accomplish the goal that we want, and we will have our identity work for us instead of against us. And so as my values are affected, I will feel a conflict between the person I am now and the person I want to become. And this is the result of a change in who I thought I was and witnessing what I actually am. So if I tell myself that I am a strong individual, but if I, for example, cannot pick up this mug, I will get a change in my beliefs. I will get a change in my values because I will stop seeing myself as a strong man. And so I will start identifying myself as a weak man because I cannot pick up this mug. And now because I can't pick up this mug, I see myself as a strong man. So my values remain the same. Cool. And so what's actually the benefit of this all? The benefit of this all is, since an identity is formed based off of decisions we make repetitively that either confirm or change our values and then impacts our belief system, this means that we can change them. This doesn't mean that we will forever be the same person. If we are right now in a position where we don't want to be in, then that means that we can actually change our current reality to the desired reality that we want to have by changing the 4 things over here. First, our values. Our values will impact our decisions. Our decisions will then impact our beliefs, and our beliefs will then make sure that we keep repetitively making the same decisions. It will impact our habits, and our habits will create the identity that we want. And so, why is it then hard to change our identity? Because the current identity we developed is the one we know, like, and trust. And what we know, like, and trust will make sure that we will stay alive. Humanity has survived for many centuries based off of doing the things that got us to stay alive. And so what we don't know, like, and trust, our brains will label as dangerous. And so most of the things we've done is because we knew, liked, and trusted them. When something arose that contradicted that belief, we fought back. So a good example is when the first train got released, the people didn't want to have this change to happen. A lot of jobs would disappear, so they were fighting for their survival. Yet many more opportunities for the development of humanity would arise and have risen from that change and from the people eventually going with it. I don't think they even had a chance. It was going to come. And if you didn't commit to the change, you would just lose everything you have, and so your survival would still be in danger. And so the people didn't want it because they didn't knew, liked, and trusted what the train was going to bring, or what this change was going to bring. And similarly, now in today's day and age, a lot of people are saying the same thing about AI, when instead AI is going to facilitate a lot of things for the development of humanity. And this reaction that we have for it is normal. It happens instinctively. And yes, it will make sure that some jobs disappear, but other jobs opportunities appear to keep humanity alive. And that is the change that we are continuously going through, and that's the change of times. And if we don't adapt, we will actually be in a worse position than if we were to fight back to something that is not going to benefit us in the long term anymore, and which is going to replace our functionality as humans for what we are working for or what we are building. And what's crazy is that even if our current situation doesn't get us closer to our goal, it keeps us alive. And staying alive is instinctively the goal we aim to fulfill. Thus, we have associated something good with the current activities we're doing, even if they're garbage. So we're not experiencing any immediate threat because of them. When we try to change our identity, we will struggle because we will experience something called the fight or flight mode, which is what the people have shown or when AI arrived, and AI is now making its run in modern times, meaning that we will have to fight against the uncomfortable and try to overcome it, or run away and return to what we know, like, and trust. Fighting against the uncomfortable and trying to overcome it is dwelling into the unknown, and the unknown is dangerous, and so our minds do not like it. We always want to be in the same position that we are in. It's just how we are created, how we have survived for many centuries, because the reason why you and me are here is because our ancestors managed to continuously fight and survive. They knew that they didn't need to eat a certain kind of mushroom because people people have died beforehand, so they know that this kind of mushroom with this kind of color is not the one that we should eat. And that's one of the reasons why we are alive, because when it's unknown, we return to what we know, like, and trust. But by understanding this about ourselves, we can start to comprehend how the evolution of humanity actually happens. And so it happens by going into the unknown to fight the threat instead of neglecting it and discover what would happen afterwards. This allows a gap to be created between what we currently believe to be true or false. And so the new experience can then shape our belief system and impact the next decisions we make, creating a new habit and as a result, change our identity to have it work for us instead of against us. So the nuance here is the only reason why we want to change something that was previously good is if we experience some sort of pain to it when it comes to our survival, when it comes to getting where we want to go. And so if I, for example, don't feel pain for not seeing any progress after some months of watching Netflix instead of working on my business, I won't feel a need to change. But when I suddenly realize that 10 years passed and a friend of mine who was on the same path remained disciplined and shows off his amazing life, his new car, his new house, and all the nice vacations he can go to because he stuck to this path, he didn't budge, he remained disciplined, then that will create pain within me. And that pain can again open the loop to make a new decision. And it's gonna either get me to fight or flight. And this is where an opportunity for growth happens if we decide to fight what we have allowed ourselves to become and live our dreams. And so what would this look like in context? In context, it will be, imagine if I would want to try again to work on my business after work, despite not being confident about myself, because now my identity has changed, my values have changed, the way that I see myself has changed, having to face the years of failing myself. So if I choose to still do it regardless of how uncomfortable that I feel and how much I doubt my capabilities, at the end of a working session, I may notice that it wasn't that bad. Then the next time I return to the session, I'll still experience discomfort, but a little bit less than before. So now a change of belief has happened because of the decisions that I have made before, which was to take action despite feeling comfortable, despite how I associated myself as with my values. And so when I keep showing up consistently for 3 months, I'll notice that it becomes less of a struggle to work on the business after my full-time shift. And so as my belief is changing about this and I continue to do the same activity that wasn't so bad to begin with, the habit will start to form of doing this. And once that habit is formed, my identity will change. And so I may even notice that I'm getting a little bit better at what I'm doing. And that will result in me doubting my capabilities way less. Thus, my identity about myself will have been updated from I am a man who can't realize his goal because of this full-time job to I am a man who is working on realizing his goal even with his full-time job. And when this happens, my values are automatically updated and I'll have gained the confidence to keep on doing this because of also the reward that I'm seeing in that moment. So if I remain consistent with it for longer than 3 months, my beliefs will continue to be updated, and so my identity, it'll go from I am a man who is working on realizing his goal even with his job to I am a man who achieved his goal even with his job, if I leave enough time between the one and the other, of course. And so what's important to remember is that who we want to be never comes before and is always the reward of acting when we are in doubt. Confidence comes after we do something, never before. And so the change in our identity and who we want to be always comes when we are not that individual and we have to prove ourselves wrong. And so how do you actually change your identity? Based off of the things we discovered in the previous points. And so we address the goal you want to accomplish. You then address the values you need to accomplish this goal of yours. And so then you ask yourself, what am I doing right now that is not getting me closer to my goal? This means that we're going to address the current identity that we have. And then we ask ourselves, what do I have to do in order to achieve my goal? And so then we create the desired identity that we want to achieve. And so you notice a clash in who you are now and who you want to become. And that is when a gap is opened because of the pain that we experience from the life that we have right now and where we want to go and what kind of values that we need to have in our lives. And so then you address the consequences of failing to change. And here in this moment, we are going to use pain to increase the drive to take action. We humans are emotional creatures, and we actually use our emotions more than we think of, even if we don't want to. Logic and reason is a part of us, but most of what we do is based off of the fight or flight. We either fight for our survival or run away for our survival. And pain is one of the things that we do. And if we can shape our pains in order for it to work for us instead of against us and help us get closer to our goals, we should definitely do that. And that is what we are doing here by addressing the consequences of failing to change. And so then you enter the fight or flight mode for when you need to take action. And this is the opportunity for changing your identity. And then you fight your desire to return to your current self. And this creates a new experience because of the pain that we are going through. And then by tracking your efforts and highlighting your wins that are linked to your goal, you're going to create new memories, and that will allow you to create a new belief system, because the action that you are taking based off of the values that you are now trying to live towards will then make sure that when you see a reward that you need to keep on doing it. And so you repeat those actions for the next 3 months and keep tracking your wins, and as a result, it will turn into a habit. And the result of the previous steps will lead to an updated identity that is aligned with the goal you want to accomplish. And we repeat this process continuously for the rest of our lives. It never stops. There's never an ending to this, because at a certain point we will stagnate. That's when it means that we'll have to go through the entire process again of what we have started from and have gotten to right now. And then we're going to discover what activities we're doing that is not getting us closer to our goal right now. The reason why we haven't achieved our goals yet, or if you are working towards accomplishing a goal, the reason why that has not taken form yet is because there's still something that we have to change about ourselves that gets us closer towards that goal. And this is a continuous process. And as goals change and as new goals happen, we have to continuously evolve that to make sure that our identity is up to date with that what we want to do. Our identity is basically our operating system. It's how we act. It's how we make decisions. It's why we do what we do. It's why we can do why we can do. And so there is always a trade-off for achieving the goal we want to accomplish. There's always a part of our current identity that we have to change, which will unlock the door for reaching the next milestone. And that's the game we play when we aim to achieve any goal we set in our lives. So this is pretty much the training that I wanted to give. By now you should know how to change your identity to go from where you are right now to where you want to go and have your identity work for us. May this be valuable in your journey and help you to get closer to achieving your goals. With everything said, always remember that you are 100% responsible for the results in your life. Make the hard decision today, and I'll see you in the next one. All right? Bye-bye.